All
right, I'd like to introduce Dianne Whitfield-Locke, Doctor of Dental Science, who says that collecting art has become an integral part of my life. I have been collecting art for over 10 years, and the focus of my collection has been art from the late 1800s to the 1940s and WPA artists. However, I am collecting contemporary art with a special search for sculpture. My mentors have been very influential in helping me develop my collection: Dr. Samilla Lewis, Evangeline Montgomery, and Eric Key. I especially want to thank my husband, Dr. Carnell Locke, for his support as I continue this wonderful artistic journey.
The question was, what led to my interest in collecting art? I'm a graduate of Hampton, number one. I'm a graduate of Howard, number two. When I was at Hampton, I really, the Native American collection was very important. And of course, it was very enjoyable and very, very interesting. However, I was also having a great time, so I wasn't as interested in art. However, when I arrived at Howard, with Lois Mary Jones there, and the continuous exhibits at the museum or the gallery, I began to show a little interest. However, Howard University Hospital had a fundraiser, and the fundraiser, Jonathan Green developed a silk screen to raise money. Lois Mary Jones did Bebe Voodoo to raise money for Howard University Hospital. So I began to go to different galleries, and I became very interested in learning more about Howard University graduates, art professors, and artists. I found out about the pieces that were at the university for sale to raise money for the hospital. I bought the two works, Baby Voodoo and Ode to Frederick Douglass by Lou Stovall. And that began my journey with Lou Stovall. When I purchased the two works, I went over to visit he framed the works for me, and he began to teach me a lot about art. And I really feel bad because I had begun to talk about art before, and I really had not gone back to my serious roots. My roots were with Lou Stovall. I almost stalked him. I was with him 3 or 4 days a week. I was with Lou. I watched him draw. I could tell you the days he was doing his drawings. He had a group of women he drew with every Wednesday, and I was there before they started drawing. And Lou encouraged me to get books, read, so that he and I could actually talk art. And around that time, Valentine magazine was out, and that periodical was very important because it began to help me understand that African American art was beginning to appreciate, and people were beginning to buy our art, and the value was really increasing. I remember reading one article in which he showed the recent auction. And I was so impressed to see that Alma Thomas had sold for 100 something thousand. That was a lot, 15 years ago. So as I began to understand what was going on with that, I began to focus a little more. One thing that Lou mentioned to me was decide what time period you want to collect or what you want to collect. And that's when I decided I wanted to collect art from the late 1800s to about 1940. These works were harder to come by, a lot more expensive to purchase. But I began to, solicit and let people know what I was looking for, and I began to find people who were willing to help me. The primary focus is the late 1800s to the 1940s. Our collection is eclectic. And when I say eclectic, I mean, when I first began collecting, even though I had gone to Howard and Hampton and graduated from these two institutions, I still could not find galleries where I could purchase these works. I had bought Picasso, Chagall, I bought Matisse Salvador Dali. I was buying European artists because that was what I was exposed to. My first painting was by Nicola Simbari. Beautiful painting. I still have it. I love it. After I met Blue, I began to find places to purchase, of course, with him, silk screens, but he also began to help me in my endeavors. I decided I wanted to buy sculpture, and he talked to me about Catlett and Artist Lane. And those were my first two sculptures whom I collected. I collect works on paper, paintings, ceramic sculptures, limited edition books, a wonderful book collection. My first limited edition book was Jacob Lawrence Hiroshima. And it's a wonderful book. And I remember when I purchased the book, I wanted to find a way to display it. So I had to find a special box to display it, and Blue helped me find that. I also collect Chinese antiques, ceramics. I also collect ivory. I have an ivory dish collection from occupied Japan. So it's very eclectic. The collection is very eclectic. But my heart and soul is African American art. African American art. And it's historical arts, works that I'm really excited about. But it covers all periods. Now, this piece, first I want to build upon what Pat said. We have a art book club, and we talk a lot about art, we read about art, but Pat and I have a lot in common, and we do have these Duncansons, and the Duncanson that I have is 1824. And I remember when we both began to have our passion for art and to share our information with Anita and others. I remember when the show, when they asked to borrow our Duncansons for the show, and I had a vacation I'd already planned and I couldn't be there. And Pat called me and said, Dianne, did you know that you had the oldest piece in the show? Well, I knew there was a reason why Joe Kemp was bugging me about the piece, but he never told me it was the oldest piece in the show. She was there for the opening. I could not be there. No, because my mom actually was dying at the time, so I could not get there. So, but we have a lot in common, Pat and I, as far as our collection is concerned, because Bearden, forever and ever, has been my favorite artist. And this is a still life by Romare Bearden. I have more Beardens in my collection than I have of anyone, same as Pat. And you know, Bearden's sister-in-law and I are very good friends. So many of my Bearden pieces are from his wife Nanette's collection. And from the Bearden Foundation. This is another Bearden work. Now, another Bearden work. Now this work here is a very, very interesting work. This work is by Charles Seabury. This work is a set of 12 watercolors that Charles Seabury did for the play, which he wrote the play, he directed the play, and he did all the costumes for the play. And the play was called Mrs. Patterson and Eartha Kitt. Kitt played in It's One of a Kind. I have a few one of a kind pieces, works in the collection. And there are 12 wonderful costumes that he did. And when I bought the set, I had a bunch of friends who wanted to buy pieces from the set. And I had just purchased this set. It's one of a kind now, one of a kind. My friends come over to a cookout that I'm having. I made a mistake and told one of them that I had purchased this. And they bugged me so much, I'm trying to entertain. They said, Dianne, can we see the Seabury? So I said, yes. I gave them the box with the Seabury. They were not framed. And the gloves. And the gloves. And I said, you may look at them. And then after they looked at them, one of them came and said, you know what? You need to put them up because they're loose. somebody might walk out with them. I said, thank you very much. Let me put my series up. And they've been trying to buy one ever since. I keep telling them, this has to go to a museum. This is Minnie Evans. Okay, I'm answering the questions first that Myrtis asked. She asked me what are three of my major works that I love most. Well, okay, Sam Gilliam, and if you've been to my house, there's a Sam Gilliam room, at least he calls it his room, where I have some wonderful pieces of Sam. And the stevedore, which is a sculpture by Richmond Barthet. I have more Richmond Barthet sculptures than anyone in the private collection other than Simone Lewis. And then I have extensions, which is a work by a new piece that I do not have yet. I had it photographed last week, but I don't have it to show you, which is about a 10-foot tall sculpture in my foyer. And hopefully you will get a chance to see that. I'm going to show you a few more of these. This is Henry Oswald Tanner, an etching by Tanner, and this is another etching by Tanner. This is Lois Mabley Jones, which my friend down there saw me when I bought this at West Shore's auction and introduced herself to me, Miss Bailey, Dianne. And a short thing about these jugs, as David Driscoll came to my home to visit me. I've had curators from Smithsonian, American Art, and Ruth Fine's been there from the Portrait Gallery. I've had all types of curators coming into the collection. But the most fun I've ever had is with David Driscoll, Lou Stovall, and Juliet McGee came to visit. Because David Driscoll was one of the few people who knew all the artists on my walls. And I just had never ever experienced that in my life. He was running, this is William H. Johnson. He was running around my house and I'm like looking at him and I'm like, wow, he really is an art historian. He's brilliant. He really is brilliant. He's brilliant. And it was a lot of fun. And Lou Stovall was looking at him like, and this is the way that Paul Mahaden did his mountains and his hills. David is very, very brilliant. He's a great art historian. This is all I love Alma Thomas. Everyone loves Alma Thomas, right? Okay? And of course, again, as she said, Mayhew, right? And this is Simone Lewis. Simone Lewis is one of my dearest friends. And Simone Lewis, this is going to the museum. Simone Lewis said to me, she calls me up and she said, look, this is one of the earliest works. It's going on auction. If you're not going to get it, I'm going to get it. Okay. Well, don't bid on it because I'm going to get it. But I did end up getting it, and this is a Black Panther on the street. And this is an older white woman with a younger white woman looking down in disdain because, you know, the Black Panther, you know, his mouth is wide open so you can imagine what he's talking about. And he has a newspaper in his hand and it says Simone Lewis. But the bottom line, she calls it the White House. So this will go to probably the African American Museum. Norman Lewis. Richard. This is Sam Gilliam. This is Sam Gilliam, and this is in my living room. Those two pieces are in my living room. And the story behind this is I wanted one of his free canvases, and I went to visit him, and I bought those two works. And then he and Lou came over to install in my house. It took him 2.5 hours to put it on the wall. Because Sam would go over and say, Lou, put a nail here. He'd go sit down and look again. Lou, put a nail here. So I said, Sam, what am I going to do when I get ready to move? He said, you're going to have to come and get me. I said, if you're still living. He said, well, whatever. I said, you got a picture of it, so you'll be able to reproduce it. And since we're getting ready to have an exhibit of our collection at Hampton University in 2013, in the fall of 2013, and I'm very concerned about how they will be able to work with that. But Sam's still living, so he might have to go down to Hampton and help them put that on the wall, you know. But I love that work, and this is another Sam Gilliam piece. I wanted one of his birch pieces. I love this man, so I want every type of work that he does, and really I have all this new work. This is another Sam Gilliam piece. This is a hinge piece, hinge on birch. Charles White, Van der Zee, John Biggers. And the story, is something important is happening at Hampton. We have a playwright, Jacqueline Lawton. Jacqueline Lawton is a playwright, and she did Ira Aldridge at the American Art Museum. She did a play called The Hampton Years. She tells the story about how Victor Lowenfeld and started the art program at Hampton University, and Samela Lewis was one of the first students with John Biggers. And she tells a wonderful story. Right now, it's going to be a play, but it's going to be basically, you know, she can't afford, right? They have not decided yet to do the entire play itself, but it will be reading. And I saw it at the J Theater, and it's a wonderful, wonderful reading. They will be doing this at the Hampton at Homecoming this year. So, but this is John Biggers, and this is Elizabeth Catlett. You know, Catlett leaving us after 90 plus years is wonderful. This is one of her newer works called New Generation. Jacob Lawrence Armistead, and this is Aaron Douglas. This is a watercolor by Aaron Douglas. And you know, when David Driscoll came to my home, he ran up to that piece. He said, "Oh, I know where that is at Fisk University." So this is, I'm sorry, I had to go back. I'm sorry. Her Gentry. Now this is what I was trying to get to. This was my first big work. It's a watercolor and collage. And I mean, the collage is around the mouth and the eyes and the nose. And I remember when I purchased it, it was the most money I'd ever spent for a work of art, and I had to have it framed. So when I took it to this really was not a gallery, it was a framer. And I asked him how long it would take. He said 2 to 3, he said 2 to 3 days. So I told him that if he couldn't do it have it back the next day, because I knew he didn't have insurance to cover it. You know, when you're buying art and you're paying X amount of dollars for it, you want to make sure that the framer can cover your work if that place burns down. Because they do have accidents. They do have accidents. You know, unless you have homeowners insurance that's going to pay for it while it's being framed, then you need to make sure that gallery can do it. And he believed me, he had it ready for me the next day. Because after he found out how much it cost. This is Lois Maylor Jones, a work that she did in Haiti. It's a watercolor that she did in Haiti. You see, I got all my Howard people I love. This is Charles Alston. I'm paying Charles Alston, same work that Pat has, Frederick Douglass by Jake Lawrence. Now this is the most valuable piece in our collection. This is a French Impressionist. This is Delacroix. And it is but 1866. But it's not the oldest piece. The oldest piece is Duncanson. Those are the works, and you know, the answer is the last question. What purpose does my little collection serve? Aesthetics, creating a legacy, as well as a cultural and educational experience for others. The roles that appraisers and art dealers and galleries, individuals as Myrtis Gallery, or Galerie Myrtis, and as she said, King Keller International Visions, Parish Gallery. I think that Myrtis, Corinne, are individuals who can teach you. If you're trying to develop a collection, they can teach you and help and guide you, because actually, less mistakes are made when you have someone who knows what they're doing. Because you know, all of us have works we bought that we are not happy with, or we put it somewhere, but I said give it to some charity when they're having an auction, so you're going to have a tax write-off. That's what I'm doing, you know. But you cannot underestimate the value of having knowledgeable individuals who can talk to you about art that you're looking for, and making sure that you don't buy a work that's overpriced. Because we do get excited, and that's the reason why I try to have others bid on work for me, because I tend to get too excited. For example, I wanted David Hammond's Fly Swatcher. And those of you who came to my anniversary heard me talk about this fly swatter by David Hammond. And I was bidding on it, and I'm working on a patient, and I go in the back, and I'm bidding. And so it went up to $31,000 for a fly swatter. And so I sat down in the chair, I said, fly swatter. So they said, well, ma'am, it was going up, I think it was going up in increments of 2,000. But do you want to go up to 33,000? I said, wait, just let me look in the catalog one more time. This is a fly swatter. I said, I'm out. Thank you very much. I'm out. Thank you very much. A fly swatter is sold for $54,000. Okay? So, it's good to have people like Myrtis, people knowledgeable, who know Ms. Bumby how to stop it and cut it, right? Because first of all, she knows that this is more than it's really valued at. And trust me, if you overpay for a work of art, you have to hold it for many, many, many moons, and you still may not be able to recoup your losses. So get someone who's knowledgeable. Have a work appraised. I'm in the process, of course, of getting everything photographed. And my last works have been photographed. And it's so funny, my photographer came last Saturday, and he worked for hours and hours. He said, oh, I haven't done the sculptures, the last few sculptures. And he said to me, you know what? I want to take your sculptures to my studio. No, to photograph them. So I called EJ and said, now I don't know what John is drinking. But you know he doesn't have money to cover my sculptures and take them in his truck. So and she said, absolutely not. Let us bring the stuff like he's been doing to your house. But, of course it probably will look better, and he's got the background and all this. Just bring a cloth, drop it from the floor, and take it. But you have to protect what's yours, and you have to realize that people do not always have the insurance to cover the art that you're entrusting them to take care of, as far as So another thing also is, if you are trying to de-assess people like Myrtis, when you are writing your will, I'm sure when Larry was talking anything, you want to make sure you let your family know, if you're really amassing a lot of art, that you want to let them know people they can take it to whom, if they don't want it, they can say, well, there's Myrtis Galerie. She can probably help you sell the art. I mean, you got to have some art that's of quality, okay? And you can't come in here with, the vendor on the streets work of art. Just go ahead and take it somewhere else. Okay, I'll give it away. But you have to have quality art if you want, someone on this level to help you sell it. The other thing is, the main thing I think that a lot of us don't think about is trying to figure out the benefits of being in groups, in a group. I'm in a collectors club, but I think I have more fun with art club. I have more fun with my book club because we have a lot of the similar interests and everything. But then I have the Millennium family. We're always at everything together. Certain people you see at every event. And we enjoy that camaraderie and talking and looking at what each person's, and you have an issue when you say my newest acquisition is. People who are not amassing and spending a lot of money on art don't say acquisitions. I just bought a new piece of art. That's what you say, okay? When you start saying your new acquisitions, you're going to take it to another level. I also say attend every exhibition that you can, as Darryl was saying about the see people like Jasper Johns, and all art is wonderful, but being able to go and to see this and show the appreciation and then go back and say, oh, I think I saw something like that, I want to do it. But understand this, most artists and the deceased masters and the living masters could not live off of selling their art. They all had jobs, most of them were teachers. And today, many of them are teachers. So, but we have to support our artists, because if we don't, there are, and when I say they are, the other people are buying up our art, and we will not be able to buy it. Because if you look at any of the information from the different museums, and you will see that most of those donors are Jewish, and that's how they get their artists in those collections. They give money They buy art, they donate to them, and they give an endowment to help take care of it. I know this seems like a lot, but you don't have to give a lot. You start off on a smaller level and begin. But understand, you must determine what you're going to do with your legacy. And I'm just messing up poor Alex, I'm sorry. But I think those were the things that...
And we can pick up the others in the Q&A.
Okay, so that's it.